Hiya, I'm a Zamen, and over the past 3 months, I have become a Castlevania fan. I own 2DS games now, 2 collections, but that's a topic for later, because what I want to do right now is talk about Richter Belmont from the Castlevania Nocturne show, because he is such an ideal hero and a great protagonist, and it's all because he's human. Oh, right, I have to say spoiler alert, cause I will be talking about everything Season 1 related. Richter Belmont, the hero from Castlevania Rondo of Blood and the protag of the Netflix show. A show that I thoroughly enjoyed. I just kinda wish the pacing was a little better. I felt like we needed an extra episode for some breathing room, but I'll take it. Back on topic, what is Richter? Is he a hot-blooded, reckless young man? A coward, crybaby loser? A boy still reeling from the loss of his mother? An instrument through which we can rock out to divine bloodlines? The answer is yes, because Richter is a complex character with a multifaceted personality. And, well, I want to go over it. But before we get into that deep character breakdown, let's talk about design, cause Richter looks so sick. Now, Richter's design in the show seems to be based off several designs from the games, making it like this little mix. Namely his Harmony of Despair and Grimoire of Souls design, just without his undershirt. Also, his color scheme and white motif does seem to be pulled from his Super Smash Bros. Design. Like, look here at the part where that's like, where this is folded, and the white. I don't think it's too much of a stretch. Then you have the design of his clothes, which tells the viewer that he's this humble hero who has much to learn and is never satisfied with his current level of skill, which is reminiscent of a martial artist. And I think this warrants some comparison to his predecessor, Trevor Belmont, where Trevor looked like this homeless, experienced monster hunting adventurer who's always moving. Richter instead has a design that more befits a martial artist, someone who's training and learning, growing in the same location. Richter's design doesn't really work as like an adventurer, but that's perfect for this story because everything is happening rather close together and close to home, because he's got one. Moving away from clothes for a moment, Richter's hair seems to be pulled from his Dracula X Chronicles design, probably because this one has a bit more character, and gives him bangs, which, okay, I want to point something out that I think is a little odd. So Maria's design was plucked straight from Dracula X, but Richter didn't get the same treatment. I think that's a little weird, but it's probably for the best because Richter's design in that game is not very good. Come on, what's up with this X? But what? And while we're talking about other characters, a detail I found cool was that Richter's mother, Julia Belmont, she's actually kinda sorta rocking Richter's outfit from Symphony of the Night. Look! Do you see the influence? I think that for the most part covers Richter's design, so let's move on to a topic with a bit more depth. Let's talk about Richter's relationships. For starters, his home life, because Richter was able to grow up in a home with a loving family. A family consisting of Tara, his mother's surrogate, and Maria, basically his little sister. We'll cover Maria first, because I think their dynamic is adorable. They really do come across as siblings, with Maria as the overachieving younger sibling, while Richter comes across as a bit schluppy. He's the sort of lax older brother who's coasting off his natural talent, which by default makes him great. And come on, he's got Sypha and Trevor's genes. We already knew he was gonna be goated, and on the surface that appears to be the source of Richter's confidence and bravado. Back to Maria though, the relationship between them is a great sibling dynamic. The two of them hurl insults at each other in a bickering way, and it never comes across as just Maria hurling abuse at Richter, because there is clear care and trust between them. Also, come on, she is not being aggressive towards the male and always putting him down because insecure writers sure hate men. That's stupid. Come on. These are two characters who care about each other and are comfortable poking and throwing jabs at one another. And as the younger sibling, it's Maria who puts Richter into the role of a protector. He's the older sibling, so naturally he feels the need to protect her. And this is kind of shown when As Richter is about to be executed, she is the person he sees the most clearly. We also see this protector dynamic more clearly in the final episode, where Richter carries Maria in his arms and flees. Yet again, Richter had to run away, but now it's different. And, we're gonna put a pin in this for later. I want to lay some more groundwork first. So let's move on to Tara, basically Richter's mother. And honestly, a top-tier mother figure. This woman is not controlling and has complete abject faith in her child. Even when Richter runs away from Ulrich's, leaving her and Maria behind, she doesn't chastise Richter or get angry at him. That's what Annette does. And when she does that, it is Tara and Maria who defend Richter and are patient in waiting for him to return. This shows the level of understanding both of these women have in Richter, both of them. But Tara especially knows that despite Richter's cheery and flippant attitude, beyond his confidence and bravado, Richter has serious doubts and issues with his self-image. Both of these characters are valuable to Richter. They fill the void in his heart after the death of his mother. Now, we don't get too much about Richter's relationship with his mother outside of the incident, but from that small moment we are able to infer a few things. For starters, we can see that Richter idolizes his mom. To him, she might as well be this unstoppable superhero. She's the Belmont. No monster can stand against her. That's what Richter thinks about her. Well, that's what he thought about her. When the fateful battle with Ulrich starts, this is proven true. Julia's on par, she's holding him off, and is seemingly winning. But everything changes after Richter steps into the open, cheering on for his mom, where from that point onwards, Julia starts losing. Potentially because she is now more focused on protecting Richter, instead of, giving her everything and fighting Ulrich's. Clearly, Richter feels guilty about this. He must think there was at least a chance his mother could still be alive if he just followed her initial instructions and ran. And running, what Richter should have, or at least thinks he should have done as a child. That comes back at the end of episode 4, where Richter finally does what his mother told him to do all those years ago. He runs from Ulrich's. He runs from the dragon that haunts his nightmares. He leaves his family behind and he doesn't look back. He keeps on running until he reaches a stream and just... Can I just say, I love that Richter is crying, just having a genuine cry. He's not man crying, he's crying, sobbing. It's pathetic. We, the viewer, know it, and Richter himself especially knows it. All of these moments of weakness are just striking at once. Every single lone stray thought Richter's had about not being a man, not being skilled enough, not being worth anything, all of that just hits at once, and it makes Richter question if he can really protect the people he cares about. And in that moment, Richter decides he can't. He's weak. He's a coward. He's not a man. And that last part is what Richter thinks. We can see this in episode 5 when he takes the headband from those girls and says,
"You have to be a man to be fraternity. It means brotherhood."
For a second, we think Richter is about to put on his mask of bravado and confidence again. But when the girl asks him if he's gonna fight for them, he is reminded of his failures and rejects the offer to be the man and fight for them, instead deciding to mope away. Despite trying to regain the confidence he once had, Richter, he can't. In that moment, his fighting spirit is utterly wrecked. But Richter is a hero. And when a hero reaches their lowest, that's when they reveal who they truly are. Despite having a conversation with his grandfather and learning more about his history, Richter still has a broken spirit, and then finds himself in the same position as his childhood self. Weak, powerless, forced to watch the hope vanish from the eyes of his family. The same look his mother had, now reflected in his grandfather. For a moment, Richter succumbs to despair because obviously there's no way to change it. But that's where he's wrong, because Richter isn't a helpless child anymore. He's a man. He's a man who's fallen over, and he can still get back up. He can prove himself wrong, and that he does because he allows himself to explode with fervor. He allows himself to accept the mistakes he made. He can't erase the past, and maybe he can't ever fully move on from its effects, but what Richter can do is carry it with him into battle. He can shoulder it correctly rather than let it drag him down. This is why during the final episode after Tara is taken and Maria is injured, Richter has no qualms about running. He has to leave Tara behind, but he's not doing this because he's afraid. He is doing this to protect Maria. He is doing this to protect his family. He understands the gravity and the reality of the situation. He knows, as he is now, he can't win. He cannot stop Elizabeth Battery, just like he couldn't stop Ulrich as a child. But what he can do is get out and hopefully find some way to stop this later. Richter demonstrates what it means to be a hero. By picking himself up and being open, he allows others to know of his weakness and comes to terms with it, because Richter understands that he alone can't carry it. It's only with the support and care of others that he'll be able to push on. Now, let's take a slight detour here to discuss if it was kind of cheap writing that Richter was instantly sick with his new magic power-up. And look, I understand that it's a little cheap, but I mean, come on, Richter's a prodigy. Let him have his power up. I think it is well earned after all the emotional turmoil he went through. Additionally, in the fight scenes with his new powers, Richter fights like they're an extension of his regular martial style, making knives, ice knuckles, and etc. He's not doing anything too complex. If anything, he's showing how uncreative and how limited his magic still is. That was a small tangent, but overall, I like this incarnation of Richter Belmont, because Richter is someone who needed character. If you just adapt straight from the games, you get a whole lot of nothing. There are so many videos on YouTube about Richter Belmont, but very few of them can give you anything more than maybe a minute on his actual personality. In the games, Richter is just the hot-blooded young shonen Belmont who beat up Dracula with his fiery spirit. He's also the strongest Belmont before Julius, and his lasting legacy... ... After that, videos just go on to describe Richter's actions and what effect he left on the game's stories going forward with the disappearance of the Belmonts, and his cameo as the Whip's memory, and it just stops being about Richter's character and personality, because there is so little there. Meanwhile, Nocturne did its own thing. It gave Richter a personality, one that comes across as human. He's a dude with weakness and depth and relationships, and apparently a lot of people can't handle seeing a man with those traits because— Wait, before I say anything further on that, I just want to recommend a video by Georgia Dow. She's this YouTuber who analyzes characters from shows and movies and games from the perspective of a therapist. It's great stuff, and her analysis of Richter was a wonderful resource in making this video. There's a link in the description. Where was I? Oh yeah! I don't know what most of these reviews want! Half of them sound crazy, offensive, oddly pro-slavery, and the other half sound like they just want to eat a slice of white bread with mayo and nothing more! Oh, and then there's like a fourth of them that actually have solid criticism. So, yeah. Castlevania Nocturne is pretty solid. Go watch it. I'd give it a 7.5. Or you could go watch my feature-length video on an RPG Maker game. You're bound to have a good time with either. I have been a Zamen, and thank you very much for watching this video. I was a little all over the place, but please consider sticking around if you don't hate my voice. My sole goal here is to improve my writing, editing, and speaking. Goodbye.